What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we've got some more expanded format coverage for the Pokemon TCG. This is from the Limitless Online Series Weekly number 6. Of course, this is Black and White Through Darkness Ablaze, or Through Champion's Path, actually, but we will have Vivid Voltage being added to the format very soon, so that's exciting. And this was played with the newest ban list updates. If you haven't seen my videos about the ban list updates, go back and check those out from last week or so. But yeah, so we're going to be running down the list of a bunch of archetypes that were played here. Play.limitlesstcg.com is a great resource because we can see how many decks were played, how many of each archetype, and then we can see the lists, their win percentage, shares, everything like that. Before we go into this, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get ptcgo codes. Be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off over there. It helps support the channel, and you can save some money on a great selection of codes that you get emailed to you upon purchase. Links for that, as well as my Twitch, Patreon, Twitter, all of that kind of stuff are down in the old description below. So let's start out with the most popular deck from this expanded online tournament, Dragapult the Garbodor, known as Trashopult. I've covered it on the channel now multiple times. This was popularized by Stefan Ivanov and by Lee Boy. Funny enough, they worked on this archetype independently and then started bringing it to online tournaments. So yeah, 13 people played this. One of the people went 7-1, one of the people went 6-2. So let's just look at the most successful list for the archetype. We'll open it with the old image generator. Yeah, so here's Trashopult. It focuses on, in my opinion, you open up with the Dragapult, get some damage around the board, try to ability lock them, and then use Trashalanche to clean up in the late game, while you're also disrupting them a bit with Chaotic Swell and Enhanced Hammer. I'm not the expert on this list. Stefan Ivanov has written an article or two about this, so I'd suggest checking out his Twitter for more resources on that, and also my deck profile for Trashopult if you wanted a little bit more of an in-depth look at the list, or at the deck as a whole, really. So yeah, Trashopult, I think this is a really good deck, and it's going to become sort of a staple of our current expanded format. And it's also fairly feasible to build for standard format players that are newer to expanded, since it does include, you know, a 3/3 line of Dragapult, some Garbodors which aren't too old or hard to get at all. There's not a lot of expensive cards in that deck, so it's really good for newer players. We've got 9 Mewtwo and Mews. We have somebody getting second place with it at 8-2. So let's just take a look at the second place list. I did look at this earlier, and it's really similar to what I played back in Dallas, which was the only event. Yeah, the only event I ever played a Mewtwo and Mew deck for in general, I believe. The Giovanni's Exile is interesting for clearing things off your board. All in all, just a brief overlook at this deck. It is a toolbox deck. You're attacking with Mewtwo and Mew. That's your whole focus. And then you have this smorgasbord of attackers to choose from. You've got Altaria, which can item lock them, or... I'm sorry, Altaria doesn't item lock them. Noivern GX, which can item lock them with Distort, or with the second attack for 3 energy, lock them from playing down special energy cards. Altaria can wall off GX Pokemon. Marowak GX is very good for sniping Pokemon and sending them to the Lost Zone. So against somebody that might have 2 Trubbishes down, you can use Distortion Door twice from Tina, and then use Lost Boomerang for free to do 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon and send them to the Lost Zone. So super strong attack. It actually might be 40 damage because it's been a while since I played with this card. No, it is 50 damage. Yeah, I was right. So yeah, 50 damage for free to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, send them to the Lost Zone. Mewtwo's damage change is really good. It switches all damage from this Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. Mega Gardevoir is great for clearing your bench so you can play more Pokemon down and also do a decent chunk of damage for 2 energy. And then Tina Chomp, of course, is a great way to deal a lot of damage. Calamitous Slash doing 240 as long as your opponent already had some damage on them. So this is a really fun toolbox style deck to play. No two games are generally the same with Mewtwo and Mew, and it's also like I said, it's fun to play, but it's also challenging because there's so many options, so you have to make the correct choice at all times. So if you want to challenge yourself, have a bit of fun, and have just a multitude of attackers to choose from at all times, Mewtwo and Mew might be the expanded deck for you. Next we have Agral, which Pablo Mesa won the event with, going 9-1, and Haruto Fujita and Beast Boys TCG got top 16 with it. JW Craywall, who knows a little bit about this deck, he actually was the person who won Richmond Regionals at the tournament where this deck came out, where multiple groups of people brought this deck actually. Yeah, so Tablemon 9-1, getting first place with Agral. Pretty interesting list. We did see, I believe, Luca C bring the Decidueye variant to an Atlas expanded tournament. So we've got the 2 Vileplume with item lock, 2 Vileplume that stops your opponent's active from attacking if it's a basic Pokemon, and then 2 Decidueye that can't be hit by GX or V Pokemon. And then of course you evolve these up into play with Agral, the super growth attack, and Agral's also attacker. So just, I'm trying to run through these decks and give you just a brief synopsis on them, so you can choose which one in expanded you might like to try if you're a little bit newer to expanded, or even if you're not newer to expanded, see some changes that have been made in the past couple sets to these older decks. So basically there's 3 modes to this deck. The first would be your opponent only has basic Pokemon, so you just stick a Vileplume up there and that you're good to go, you win the game. The next mode would be Decidueye. If your opponent only has GX and V Pokemon to attack with, you would send Decidueye up there and you're good to go. The last mode would be your opponent has multiple kinds of attackers. You can't completely wall them out with Vileplume, you can't completely wall them out with Decidueye, so you'll be attacking with Agral while also item locking them with the irritating Pollen Vileplume. That's just like a really brief but I believe fairly accurate description of the 3 modes to this deck, but it's not exactly as easy as it sounds to, you know, evolve into the Vileplume, get it into the active, and then win from there, the Decidueye, or then attack with the Agral. So it's an interesting deck to play. It plays sort of like a stall or control deck at some points, but all in all, it is typically an attacking deck. And like I said, it has multiple modes, which is very interesting. So a really awesome deck that has been strong for a while, and Pablo Mesa showed that it is still very good because he got first in this tournament with it. There are 9 other decks, and you know what? We're just going to go check all these out real quick because these could be really interesting. Oh, I got so excited when I saw this earlier, just going through the standings. Rule of Evil deck. This looks just like a deck that I wrote about on Flipside Gaming back in the day. This was a deck that I had built in standard format at one point, so obviously looking a little bit different than this, but this is so awesome. So they're using Pokepuff and Target Whistle to force Pokemon down to your opponent's bench, and then trying to spread around with Rule of Evil, and then Magical Swap to win the game. So if you don't know what Rule of Evil does, for 1 energy, it does 60 damage to every Pokemon on the board that has an ability. Really, really awesome card. So yeah, this didn't end up doing too well, but it's just such a cool looking deck. Okay, so let's look at the next other deck. There were 9 others, and we get to see all their deck lists. Oh boy, I think I see Golduck Break. Yeah, huh. Yeah, this is a whole mishmash of things happening. So it has Golduck Break. As often as you like, you may move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. Okay, okay. And then we've got the Ganondorf Guzzlord. What is happening with this? Okay, moving on from Golduck Break deck. It went 3-4. It won 3 games. So had it been doing something. Next we got a 2-2 other deck with Pyroar Break deck. Pyroar Break deck. Nothing too crazy to see here. just trying to wall off basic attackers, and then you also got Pyro Break to have a little bit of extra damage with that attack. Moving on to the next other deck. Just 4/4 Honchkrow, 2/3 drop with a 4/4 Honchkrow. Oh boy. Oh, Kabu, very interesting in a 4/4 Honchkrow deck. Very interesting. For those of you who don't know, if Honchkrow is in the active spot, your opponent can play special energy stadiums or tools. Let's see what's next. We've got Pidove. Okay, is this a control deck? I think this is a control deck. Yep, it's a control deck. Here we got Starly. One of these Unifezants do. Shuffle all cards attached to each player's Pokemon into that player's deck. Wow, that's a really cool effect that I don't remember ever reading this card. All cards attached to each player's Pokemon. That's very, very dope. And then we've got Downburst. You may have each player shuffle all cards attached to their active Pokemon into their deck. Okay. Very awesome, but I wonder, is this Unifezant ever better than this one? No, I feel like Strong Winds is probably just always better. But I'm not the Unifezant mastermind. Very interesting deck. These are all on Limitless TCG if you want to go look at these a little bit more closely for yourself, but I just thought it would be fun to check these out. Here's a Sceptile deck with Vileplume, and just better to play aggro. We'll just scroll through that. Let's see, Kyle 190. Galarian, Cursula, Gengar, Mimikyu. Okay, these are kind of just like a little bit more casually built decks, it would seem. 4/4 Eradicate with Galarian Slowbro V. Okay, that's a real strategy right there. So use Super Fang to put the defending Pokemon down to 10 HP, but before that you're going to poison them with Galarian Slowbro V. Very cool. The Galarian Slowbro V probably isn't too necessary because you could just use Hypnotoxic Laser. But yeah, very cool. Cohesive deck idea. Just looks like it didn't turn out too well for this person. And then the last one was what were they trying to do with this? Oh, okay. Discard any amount of lightning energy from this Pokemon, and for each energy you discarded, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and do 30 damage to it. Is that the whole deck? Is it like all for that one thing? Yeah. Okay. I can see why it didn't do too well. I mean, that's a cool idea. Pop your Electro GX and then you put energy on this so then you can snipe something, but you need something else to do. That can't be the whole deck. Okay, so we're done looking at others. That was a nice little detour. Back to the archetypes. We've got Pikarom, Pika-P coming in 3rd and 4th place. Nice. Yeah, so Pikarom and Expanded has a bunch of goodies to work with. We got Max Elixir, we got Electropower, Thunder Mountain, Fighting Fury Belt, which is a nice card for it. Cassius has always been an expanded Pikarom. Zeraora GX. Electros is much better in expanded since you have max elixirs to put extra energy onto the board. Clefairy with Metronome and just copies the opponent's active Pokemon's attack. Solid looking deck, nothing too crazy. The Electros is a nice touch for Pyro decks and whatnot. So Pikarom looking super solid. I got 3rd, 4th, 8th, 2 top 16. There's 5 of them in the top 16 out of like 80 something people, I think. So very nice for Pika. And where were we? We are on ADP Zacian. ADP Zacian actually didn't do too well. The highest placing was 25th. Let us see here what's going on with this ADP Zacian. Looks like nothing crazy aside from the 4 enhanced hammer. Yeah, 7 metal, 3 double dragon. Got your Fighting Fury belt, your Guzhala, 4 Zacian, your Guzma, and your boss, because you got Versus Seeker out here. Yeah, looks like a pretty run-of-the-mill build aside from the enhanced hammers. I'm not sure that that's really standard. Let's take a look at another one to see if they are also playing enhanced hammer. No, I don't think I see. I do see 4 Guzma. 4 Guzma, no Versus Seeker. Okay, so that's interesting. 4 Guzma, no Versus Seeker. Let's go to a third one to see what's the norm now, because we've seen one with 1 Guzma, 4 Versus Seeker. Okay, looks like the norm is don't play Versus Seeker. The norm is just play more actual physical gusts. They're also playing elixirs. Yeah, I like this better. So they're playing elixirs because they're not playing the enhanced hammers. You'd rather just accelerate your energy quicker and not really worry about what's going on your opponent's board, because it's Zacian ADP and it's not interactive. We got Eternatus just missing top 16 here. Yeah, Eternatus with a little bit of a Zoroark draw engine going on. You got Dark Patch, so who cares about Crushing Hammer? Just Dark Patch your energy right back on, baby. We got 2 Darkrai GX that accelerate energy to the board, and you can use that as a knockout condition with Hypnotoxic Laser and Dead End GX that if your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, just give it the old knock knock. So that's pretty good. Eternatus VMAX, we'll probably keep seeing that around, although it didn't place too well. Mad Party, which seems to have replaced Night March. Let's see if there's anything crazy about this one here. Kind of just looks like Night March. Yeah. Yep, kind of just looks like Night March. So Mad Party, of course, is a pretty standard format deck, pretty standard deck. But it also is very good and expanded because you got battle compressors, you got DCEs. So yeah, if you're familiar with Night March, you're familiar with Mad Party. If you're familiar with Mad Party, you're familiar with Night March. They work very, very similarly, except that Mad Party is just better because there are it has its own draw power with Poltegeist, and I believe there are more of them. Yeah, there's more Mad Partiers, I believe. So here we got Roxy Chomp, which Hunter Butler won Dallas Regionals with. They've got a little bit of crazy stuff going on here with the Executor Blockade. For 1 energy, does 10 damage, and your opponent can't play a supporter card during their next turn. I played that in Zoro Eggs like a million years ago now, it seems like. But yeah, Roxy Chomp has that name because you got Roxy, you got Chomp. So Roxy, you do damage to your opponent's board by discarding the Coughings. I believe, are there supposed to be Weezings? No, they're probably supposed to be Coughings, right? Yeah, we'll just say they're supposed to be Coughings. So you do damage to your opponent's board with Roxy, so then your Tina Chomp does more damage. When this deck first came out, 240 was still considered a lot of damage, whereas now it's like on the medium high side. Guznag, you can just take 2 prizes with its GX attack. Noivern is kind of your out to Pyroar. I kind of think Noivern was like one of the contributions I had a part in when we were building this deck for Dallas. But I wasn't too interested in it and ended up playing Mew Tag Team myself. I was going to play Guardian and then realized that Mewtwo and Mew was a better play than Guardian, but this was a better play than all of it. I think Great Catcher and keeping the Noivern might have been the 2 things I actually contributed to. The rest of the deck I didn't have much of a part in. But yeah, this is an awesome deck. It's fun to play. It's very explosive. Zigzagoon is something that was added into the deck after this deck won that tournament, because of course Sword and Shield wasn't legal for that format. It did not come out yet. But very awesome, explosive deck, fun to play. Definitely a bit weaker now though than it was in its heyday. Now let's see, how far down will we go with this? We got Stall, one of my personal favorites to currently play in Expanded. I'm looking for the version with Pyroar in it. Well, you know what? I've we've talked about the version with Pyroar in it on this channel. We'll just take a look at a version without Pyroar. This one has some beaches in it, so oh, it also has Regirock. Regirock is, if you don't know, this Regirock is worth like hundreds and hundreds of packs on ptcgo because it was only available to buy within a ptcgo currency known as gems, which are discontinued. So that Regirock very hard to get. So is Tropical Beach, but Regirock's I think actually harder to get than Tropical Beach. So yeah, we just got some stall stuff going on. This Snorlax is meant to be played with the Regirock, so as long as this Pokemon's your active Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat. And then they can't Guzma to retreat if you don't have a target, and they can't target Regirock with Guzma because whenever your opponent plays a trainer card, prevent all effects of that card done to this Pokemon. They also just can't gust up the Snorlax. They can't gust around the Snorlax because of the Regirock, so you kind of have to have that Regirock on your bench for the Snorlax to work, or you have to just have a Snorlax active, which is risky because they could always, you know, draw into their out to getting out of the block lock. But yeah, this has so much stuff. I could make a whole video just talking about all of the things going on here. So I suggest checking out this list for yourself. We got Durant Chip Off to discard cards from their hand, Girafarig to get lost cards out of the Lost Zone, Bunnelby to mill them and also get back our own resources, Munchlax to get back resources, Hoopa to wall, the Dolls and the Robos to wall. We got Energy, Counter Energy, because you can actually take, you can actually win the game by taking prizes with this deck, or you can just use Counter Energy Watch and learn to take out a threat that like can get through Hoopa. Lugia GX can also Lost Zone a threat, or Lost Zone just something with a large amount of energy on it. So these decks are typically pretty hard to play. I don't prefer this list though. I kind of like the one that I've already covered on my channel, maybe with some changes, but that's kind of what I have liked. Let's go to the standings since we're getting into the lower amount of played decks. So Little Dark Fury, hey, what's up, Little Dark Fury? So LDF bubbled at 9th with a new Trevenant Dusk Noir deck. So lots of people have been throwing lists for this around. The general consensus is you play Electro GX, the Ditto from Boundaries Crossed, and that's how you make up for Milotic being gone. So Milotic got banned. Milotic was able to knock itself out, attach 3 energy from the discard to your Trevenant Dusknoir. Electro GX knocks itself out, mind you, for 2 prizes, so your opponent gets 2 prizes. Then you can attach any 5 energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like, but not GX or EX Pokemon. So you have to get around that because the Pokemon that is your target is Trevenant Dusknoir. So you attach them to Ditto with the ability Transform. During your turn, you may put a basic Pokemon from your hand on top of this Pokemon. This Pokemon is now that Pokemon. So this Ditto, unlike Ditto Prism, does not evolve into anything. Instead, you can just play it. This is kind of a placeholder. Think of it like that. Like this Ditto sits on the bench, and as long as abilities are active, at any time you want, you could turn it into another basic Pokemon. So that Ditto sits there, you Electro GX at least 3 energy onto the Ditto, then you can use Transform to just become Trevenant Dusknoir, and that's how you get around Milotic being banned, basically. So looks like it worked out pretty well for LDF. He bubbled with 5-2 at 9th place. We covered everything in the top 8 aside from this Snorlax VMAX Zoroark deck, so very cool seeing Snorlax VMAX and Zoroark GX getting some love. Zoroark GX can be an attacker in this deck. The Snorlax VMAX is just kind of stronger Zoroark, but you get the great draw power from Zoroark, and you also have this foul play Zoroark. So choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So this could be useful whenever your opponent has something that just does a lot of obnoxious damage in the active, and you pop it with a single prize Pokemon. That always feels good. Aside from that, it's got a Alolan Muck. Pretty, I think, kind of what you'd expect from a Snorlax VMAX deck, but then of course it also has Zoroark in it, so always cool to see Zoroark getting some play. Was there anything else of note? We have a Vikavolt Deck, getting 10th actually at 5.2. So this kind of looks like it would be a Seismitoad deck, but it's a Vikavolt instead. I guess because it has more HP and does more damage, you can think of it as a better Seismitoad. But Seismitoad uses DCE, which could be seen as a better thing, but of course you can use speed energy with this, you can use electro power with this, which is better than Seismitoad because you can't use speed energy or electro power with it. So pretty cool deck here. There's no hammers, which I would expect hammers in a deck like this where you're trying to emulate like a Toad type deck. It's got Viper to make your poison damage do more, Hypnotoxic Laser and Verbank City Gym, of course. And yeah, it's basically just item lock them and poison them, and that's the whole thing. I would like to see hammers, but they have Tina and 4 scoop up nets, so it's expanded format, and Tina can actually do a lot of work because there's so many special energies running around and expanded. So if there's anything here we didn't go over, of course you could just visit play.limitlesstcg.com yourself and check it all out. The lists are here, they're importable, but remember, Vivid Voltage is coming out soon, and if we go over to tournaments and we go to upcoming and we scroll down here to the online regional perfection, there is a regional type expanded tournament on Saturday, November 1st. Vivid Voltage is legal and the new bans are in effect. It's a 2-day event, just like a regional. I'll be playing in this, 99% sure. I really want to. And this will be Vivid Voltage legal, so stay tuned to the channel for more expanded coverage for the Vivid Voltage format. I'm not sure that it's going to change expanded a ton, the new set, but there are a few cards I'm very interested in that I've been working on, and I'll probably have a Patreon article out soon for that, or at least like a little bit of a here's what I'm working on for my patrons. And we'll be covering it in streams and YouTube in a couple of weeks probably. Vivid Voltage is coming out in 5 days. 5 days on ptcgo. Wow, I'm excited. So yeah, there's a little bit of a look into expanded format, a tournament that's actually went on with the new bans. Trevenant Dusknoir is not dead, Snorlax VMAX is back, Pikarom is still kicking, and Agrel won the whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out PotonStore.com, the best place for you to get ptcgo codes. Use code CELIO for 5% off. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already for daily Pokemon TCG content. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and in the comments down below, let me know what expanded decks you want to play with the new bans, or even if you played in this tournament, how it went for you, what lists you liked that we looked at today. And hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.